Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is the newly refreshed 2025 Hyundai Tucson Limited. And today, I'm gonna review it for you guys. The first time I reviewed a Hyundai Tucson Limited, it was on this beautiful background like this, a big grassy hill, and that video got about 100,000 views. And so I'm unashamedly trying to recreate that success here, except this time, there's even a tractor in the background. Look at that! Look at how scenic that is. There's a tractor. For the record, I'm not paying the farmer with the tractor. He just happens to be here because this is his field back here. It just worked out that as I was coming to film, he happened to also be here. So that was really cool for the intro. I couldn't be more proud of how that worked out. But anyway, here on the actual Tucson itself, 2025 is a mid-cycle refresh for the Tucson, though you'd be hard-pressed to notice that from the exterior at the first glance. The exterior on this doesn't look too different from the 2024. Even if you knew what you were looking for, you'd probably still have to squint to see the differences. It's very similar to the very light mid-cycle refresh of the Santa Cruz that I recently reviewed. I don't think it's bad. It didn't really need a major exterior refresh, though I do wish there could have been a little bit more here. The major mid-cycle refresh changes come on the interior of this new Tucson, and boy, are they pretty big, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. While we're up front here, let's talk about what you get. You'll have full LED headlights, low and high beams. You'll have LED daytime running lights right here. I've always liked this design. I think it's pretty cool. And your turn signals are incorporated into the top portion of those LED daytime running lights. Then you'll have a front camera right here on the grille. That works as a standalone front camera system. So as you're pulling up to a curb or a parking spot, you can activate that and see how close you are, but it also works for the kind of dual 360-degree camera system that this Tucson is equipped with. I'm excited to show you guys a little bit more about that when we move to the interior. Then you'll have parking sensors up front and a sensor pad over here to the side that works in conjunction with a camera at the top of the windshield to give you all the safety systems that are incorporated into this car. Moving underneath the hood, this Tucson is powered by a 2.5-liter GDI 4-cylinder. GDI stands for gasoline direct injection. This is a non-turbocharged engine, which means it only makes 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. It is not particularly fast. That is paired to an 8-speed automatic, which does mean it shifts nicely, but this is definitely not the best engine available on this Tucson. There is a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid that offer more power and a little bit more performance. Though, when it comes to fuel economy, despite not being the hybrid, it does have some pretty good numbers. The EPA estimates 24 city and 30 highway with 26 miles per gallon combined, and in my testing this week, I averaged 25.3. Moving to the profile of the Tucson Limited, starting here with the wheels and tires, you'll get 235 55R Michelins around these 19-inch wheels. They have a very spaceshipy design. I think it looks really cool, and it works with the rest of this SUV's look. Though I can't help but think, and I'm sure other people have sort of compared these two, this sort of looks like the new Chevy Blazer a little bit. I don't know, do you guys see that? I see a little bit of Blazer in this SUV's design. But moving up here to the mirror cap, it is body colored. You'll get a turn signal indicator incorporated in, a camera right here for the 360-degree camera system. Then you will have blind spot monitoring, and they are power adjusting mirrors as well. Down here you'll have keyless entry, and the front door handles right here will light up at nighttime as you approach the vehicle and unlock it. That's a cool added luxury touch. And then moving down the rear here, again, not much has changed on the rear of the Tucson on the 2025 model. Still a pretty sharp looking SUV though. You'll have parking sensors down here, and you'll also get a backup camera, and then the Hyundai logo is incorporated into the rear glass right here, which I think is a pretty cool touch. And then they hide the windshield wiper blade up here. That is nifty looking. You might think, well, you probably hit a button right here to open up the rear lift gate. Not the case. You actually go all the way down here, and that will open up the rear lift gate. Moving in here, pretty decent amount of storage capacity. You do have the ability to manually fold the seats down. You'll get a 12 volt right there and some little LED lights. And then lifting this up, you do get a donut, which is always nice to see a donut in a car like this. And of course, as I mentioned, you can fold the second row seats down. Then up here, you have a button to lower the automatic lift gate automatically. And as it lowers itself down right here, before we move to the interior, I want to talk about the key fob very quickly. I think this is really fun. It's the Hyundai logo. You get lock, unlock, and then you also have remote start and your panic right here, but it's Hyundai. Like that's what it is. I think that's very neat. And that's just a kind of a quirky little detail on either way you have it. It's Hyundai. Now, this has Smart Park integrated into it, probably a carryover because this has been on the market for a little while now. It's very cool, but it's sort of gimmicky, and I'll demonstrate what that is now. I am absolutely being covered in bugs. It is 85 degrees out and incredibly humid, so we're still gonna do this. We'll hit lock. We will remote start the car. Okay, we're on. And then if I go to the side here, you can see these two little images of the car. And then, of course, you can open up the rear lift gate from here as well. But for the video's sake, I'm going to hold this front button right here. And that is going to slowly start moving the Tucson forward. And as soon as I let go, it stops. And then I can move the Tucson backwards as well. The idea here is that you would pull up to a very tight parking spot. Let's say this parking spot's here and you don't have enough room to get out of the vehicle because it would be too tight. So you would pull up, get out of the car, and then you would use this feature to back the Tucson into that parking spot. So I think it's cool. I would wonder how often people actually use it though. Let me know in the comment section, do you actually use it? And also, I guess for people that are wondering, it is very, very safe. If I walk up here, let's say someone were to dive in front of your car, I'm still holding the button and it stopped automatically. So that is a nice safety addition there. All right, let's move to you can see the gnats. You can see the gnats surrounding me. All right, let's move to the interior. Moving to the interior of the Tucson. You know, God has gifted man with the ability to do many incredible things, but I truly think the greatest wisdom he ever imparted onto someone was the guy that came up with the idea to do ventilated seats. I think ventilated seats are the greatest gift we currently have as humanity. It is incredible, especially on a day like today. I jumped in here, cranked the ventilated seats and the air conditioning, and it was wonderful. And it's cool that something like a Hyundai Tucson has ventilated seats. That's not something you would probably expect even 5 or 6 years ago. But as you can see, the interior is pretty snazzy. This is the new sort of corporate design for the Hyundai interiors, and I think it's fantastic. We'll start here on the door panel. This is soft touch up here if you'd like to rest your arm, as is it down here. You'll have your window controls, your mirror controls, your power seat memory controls. They are power adjusting with power lumbar support. And then down here you will have the lighting controls for the infotainment screen and the digital gauge cluster screen. Another button to open up the rear lift gate, traction control off, and your electronic parking brake. And then your fuse boxes down here. You do have manual tilting and telescoping on the steering wheel. And then speaking of that steering wheel, it is very simplistic. It's not crowded with buttons or overly complicated. It's very, very nice. You'll have your radar guided cruise control settings over here, paddle shifters, and then over here you'll have your Bluetooth, volume, channel changing, favorites, stuff like that. And then there is a little camera sensor right here for the radar guided cruise control, and it has like a bit of self-driving in it. It can do it on the highway, though it often tells you to keep your hands on the steering wheel. It will keep you in your lane and keep you at speed, which is pretty impressive. Then over here, this is actually a fingerprint scanner right here, like older iPhones had, so you can scan into your driver profile. Currently, I'm signed into the guest one because I'm only a guest in this vehicle. Hyundai has loaned it to me. It is not mine. But here on the digital gauge cluster screen, which is a separate screen from the infotainment screen. They look like they're sort of a singular flow through, but they are two separate screens. Here on the digital gauge cluster screen, if I turn the turn signal on, it turns on the blind spot camera in the mirror. That is probably one of the smartest inventions, next to the ventilated seats, in recent car technology. And it's great to have that. I am excited to see more vehicles incorporating that technology in, because it's a really wonderful safety feature that I hope Hyundai and Kia don't exclusively keep to themselves. Now down here, this is interesting. This is your new shifter. This is a column shifter. And it's not like super abnormal to have a column shifter. More recently, perhaps it is, but this is a funky one. So right now, if I put my foot on the brake and I spin this silver part, that will put us into drive. Spinning it again puts us into reverse, and then pressing this button on the end puts us into park. And I believe just one crank. Yep, one crank is into neutral. And so it's a very interesting design here for the shifter. I don't hate it. It frees up a lot of room down here, but we'll talk about this in a second. While we have this here, I'm going to put it into reverse and show you a very crisp backup camera and a very nice top-down 360 camera. And you might say, Isaac, that's wonderful. It's so cool the Tucson has that. What a luxurious feature. And I would agree with you, except it gets even better. If we come over here to this button right here, we get an actual 360-degree view of the car that we can spin around. Is the tractor still out? I don't know if the tractor's still going. He might have left. Alas. But you can see the entire surroundings around you. It's incredible. And this isn't just a still frame thing. If I start backing up, the little animated wheels move, and it kind of can show you how close you are to something when you're backing on to a road, into a parking spot, into a driveway. It's incredible. And it's just super incredible that it's on a Hyundai, right? Hyundai was one of the first manufacturers to do this. It's just crazy. I would not have pictured that. Kias have this as well. I've talked about it in Kias, and I'm sure Genesises do. Genesi? The Genesis? Anyway, I'm sure their luxury brand Genesis also has this feature. It was funny, my dad hopped in here the other day and I wanted to show him how incredible this technology was, and he said, "Our car's not white." Oh, how fathers can't resist a dad joke. But I think it's incredible, and it's just a very impressive system. And BMW and I think Audi and a couple other manufacturers have similar camera systems, but I honestly haven't been in anything that has a camera system as impressive as this. So I'm just woefully impressed. Putting it back into park and talking about this infotainment screen right here. You'll have voice memos, phone projection, so you'll have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, of course. I think most people will probably keep it on Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Valet mode. I like that you can get weather and sports on here too. That's nice. And then just a host of different diagnostics and options for HD radio and stuff like that. This of course does have Sirius XM. It also has this fun feature called Sounds of Nature. Maybe you're going to work and you just need it to be peaceful, right? You just need it to be peaceful. You just want to be in a lively forest. Hyundai will do that. Maybe you want to be in a city at dawn. This city at dawn music is very wonderful, but it has a distinct lack of taxis beeping, which I think is unrealistic to any city at dawn. I feel like there would be a lot more but I digress. There's just a lot of fun, sort of meditational, quiet, calm music in here that if you don't want to listen to something in particular, you can throw this on, and I think it's very, very swell. Whoop, I went into Sirius XM. No, I can't play the Beach Boys. I'll get copyright struck. But it's a very intuitive infotainment system that works very quickly. Moving down here, you'll have your push-button start, some very nice climate vents incorporated into this kind of cool silver line. Now, the climate vents are here and over there. This isn't like a massive climate vent. That's closed off right there. Down here, you'll have physical buttons for the screen, map, search, volume, stuff like that. You'll also have your hazards, but your climate controls are their own screen. Now, I don't love digital climate controls. I complain about them often because it's sort of distracting. But the fact that this screen is relegated to down here and the buttons are always in the same place, I don't mind it as much. And, you know, it's not terrible, but I would still prefer physical buttons here. You'll get ventilated seats, as I mentioned at length in the beginning. Heated seats, I should probably turn that off. I do not want to have heated seats on right now. And then a heated steering wheel, which again is a nice luxury touch. And then of course you have climate controls right here that are physical, which is very cool. And they are also dual zone, which is nice. Moving down here, you will have USB C's, 2 of those. And then if you push this in, you'll get a 12 volt. Now down here, you'll have some storage that extends below the center armrest here. Now, here's the thing. This is very cool. You have a spot for your phone to charge, though I've noticed a lot that the sun is going to come right down on this and make your phone very hot very quickly. Pretty much every time I've used this during this week. It's a very nifty feature to have the smartphone charger here, but I do wish it was like maybe down here where it's not directly in the sun. And then you'll get sort of a little line that says it's charging. It's like a little green line that'll flash on here. I like this. I like that this is all here, cup holders. You have a little storage area, and then these buttons I'll talk about in a second. But wouldn't it be so cool if this flipped up into a third seat? Wouldn't that be so cool? The whole time I'm driving here, you know, you have your arm here, and you're waiting at a stoplight or whatever. And I'm just like, I just want to pull it up, right? You know, I think it would be so cool if that was a third seat in there, but unfortunately not a lot of cars still do that anymore. That's something, for bringing back column shifters, we should bring that back too. Anyway, right here you do have some curious buttons. You'll have a center locker, which is very unique for a vehicle in this class. You'll have your drive mode selector, which does change how the gauge cluster looks. You know, there's different designs right there. You're going to want to keep it in sport. Sport is the peppiest mode in this particular car. We'll talk about that a little bit more, as I mentioned in the under the hood segment. This is not particularly sporty, but sport mode does make it a little bit more sporty. Then you'll have auto hold, so it'll hold you at a stoplight. Electronic engine start stop. So again, if you come to a stoplight, it'll turn the car off. Hill descent control, which again is wild. Your parking camera button. So let's say maybe you're pulling forward slowly and you want to see the front view of the car. You can do that. That's very neat. And then you can turn your parking sensors off here if you'd like. Then you'll have a standard auto dimming mirror. You will have controls up here for your SOS, and then a button for the panoramic moonroof this is equipped with. Opening that up, you can see it even goes even further. It's very, very nice. Always cool to see on a Hyundai here. It takes a little getting used to though, because it's all in one button. So like if you want to open the shade but not open the top, it's like, it's a little confusing, but you can get used to it pretty quickly. Then you'll have some storage over here, which is nice. And then pretty big glove box. Overall, the front end of this car is a nice place to spend time. These front seats are nice, they're comfortable. The bolstering is nice, and I like the interior, though admittedly, with this white interior, I would imagine it's going to get dirty pretty quickly. Though, challenge accepted for most people that buy this with the white interior. I'm sure they're like, I will keep this clean. Also, last thing up front here, totally forgot to mention it. So many vehicles have this that I like literally forgot it was here on this one. You have a heads-up display. You can see right here, and when I activate the lane cruise control, stuff like that, it will appear, and you know, there's a lot of different things. It'll like show you that you're holding yourself in the lane. The fact that it's fading out, that's a camera refresh rate thing. That's not actually happening in real life. It's staying pretty consistent for the most part. But it's cool. It's like a neat thing. And then also, let me see if I can do this without turning on the music here. Sometimes, and I don't know exactly how it does it every single time, if I skip a song or I turn a podcast on, it'll actually display the thumbnail image of the podcast, which is like super cool, and I think it does that with the songs as well. That's really neat, and I love seeing that these heads-up displays are not only becoming more common because they're very neat, but also that they have more than just the digital speedometer and like maybe the speed limit incorporated into them. There's like a lot there. And so that pretty much wraps up the front. Let's take a look at the back seats. Now, before we jump on into the rear seats here, I just wanted to show you, you do actually have an adjuster right here. You can pull that all the way up and it will fold the seat if you need access into the rear. But if you want, you can actually also use it. This is going to be hard with a camera, but I think we're going to be able to do it. If I pull this up and push back, yes, I can do it. It reclines the seat as well, which is a very nifty feature, especially if the driver is sitting fairly far back. I have this seat as far back as it'll go, so this is not where I would normally sit at 5'9", and I still have like 3 or 4 inches of leg room. I'm pretty sure if I push this forward, I'd have probably close to about 6 or 7 inches of leg room, and with the seat reclined, I have 2 or 3 inches of headroom, which is very nice. Fairly spacious back seats here. You'll get little cargo nets, climate vents, 2 USB-Cs, and then folding this down, you'll have a center armrest, which is always nice to see, with cup holders. And I love this, you get heated seats in the second row. I mean, not today, right? Today I wouldn't want heated seats, but you can activate the heated seats right there for the side passengers. Unfortunately, our middle buddy doesn't get that, though maybe they'll get like a little, maybe they'll get a little butt warmth from each side. I'm not 100% sure how that works, and I'm not interested in myth busting that today. But it's nice to have the heated seats in the second row here on the Tucson Limited, making it all the more luxurious. All right, let's take this thing for a spin. All right, here we are driving the Hyundai Tucson. I'll cut to the chase. While this might be a very luxurious SUV, and especially at the price point, it really does sell itself quite well, it's not fast. I've probably alluded to that throughout the earlier portions of this video, but it really takes time to get up to speed. You can tell that this engine is not turbocharged. The base engine here is okay. It makes passable power. It's very much a get you where you need to go kind of engine. If I lay on it here, listen to how loud it gets, and it's barely going. It's like now it's starting to pick up, and if you really gun it, if you really lay on it, it holds revs pretty high most of the time, and it takes a little bit to really come down. So it's very loud when you really step on it, you know, if you're accelerating to get onto the highway, for example. Now, throwing it into sport mode does alleviate that a little bit. It shifts a little bit better. It's maybe a tiny bit faster, but I would never accuse this Tucson of being fast. Now, laying on it again, it's just not, we're not getting anywhere very fast. We're getting there at a trucking pace, you know, we're cruising along. The handling is nice, the comfort is nice, it still holds you in your seat quite well. And the steering is fairly responsive too. If I turn here, you don't get a lot of body roll, it's fairly comfortable. I think a lot of people that are looking for an SUV like this want something that's comfortable, luxurious, and has the Apple CarPlay and everything, gets good fuel economy, and they care a lot less about how fast it is. Though I wouldn't be doing my job correctly if I didn't mention that, right? The first time I got behind the wheel of this earlier this week and I had to merge onto the highway, I was like, yikes, I gotta talk about this. But other than that, other than the acceleration taking time to really get up to speed, it's a good SUV. I've always liked the Tucson. I think it's got a lot of neat features. I think it stands out, even if it might look like a Chevy Blazer a little bit. I think it does have a lot of stuff to make it unique. It's got a fantastic warranty, and I don't think you'd be going wrong looking at an SUV like this. My family has owned Hyundais for many years. I owned a Hyundai for a while. I had an Accent, and even the Accent was like a reliable, nice car. And Hyundai's come a long way in the many years that they've been on the market, and I think that their quality just continues to get better and better and better. Well, that's just about going to wrap up my review of this Hyundai Tucson. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about the Tucson in the comments section below. Before I go, I always like to mention that I am a Christian. So if you have any prayer requests, I would love to be able to pray for you. You can leave those in the comments section below as well. And lastly, I like to close out on a weekly scriptural reading, or perhaps bi-weekly. Throughout the year, I switch up how often I upload videos because of my other job. So it could be bi-weekly or it could be weekly. I don't know when this will come out. I'm filming this in the middle of the summer. But today, I am in the book of Psalms. And this particular verse really hit me recently because I think throughout our lives, there are times of illness. There are times where we're just winded and we're really busy. And personally, I don't like to rely on caffeine to just get me through the day, right? I want to be able to get through the day without having to pound coffee or an energy drink or soda. And so I've really been asking God to sustain me recently. I've been struggling with sleep, and hopefully by the time this video comes out, I'll have really managed my sleep schedule a little bit better. I'm implementing a lot of things to help me in that area. But as I wake up, I say, God, I just pray that you sustain me throughout the day. Help me to get to everything I need to get to be a witness to whoever I need to be a witness to, whether it's through a video like this or out in the street. And so I came across this particular verse in the Psalms the other day, and I was like, this is like literally what I'm already praying. So it's so cool. Psalm 3, verse 5. This is a psalm of King David. He says, I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. And I'm just so grateful for that. And so I can pray that as well. And so can you, for the Lord to just sustain you. It might not mean that you're in perfect health, that everything's going well, but you can ask God to get you through the day. And I cannot tell you how many days that the Lord has just gotten me through when I was struggling. But I trucked along and I did it. I got through it all by the power of God. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And remember, no matter what vehicle you drive, I hope it lasts you a long time and it serves you well. See you next time.